Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new and fresh episode by Embark. Hope you're all doing well in this tough time. Thank you for your amazing response to our third podcast. We have 500 plus downloads and counting. Keep supporting us like this, it really motivates us to bring you more such podcasts. And in case you have not listened, please go and listen to our earlier podcasts on Tell Me About Yourself and certifications to do in MBA. We are streaming live on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on YouTube. Feel free to listen to the platform that you prefer. Today we have a topic which is a need of the hour, MBA in the virtual classroom. Today's podcast is more special as we have a guest with us. When we started, we never thought it would grow at such a great rate and never thought we'll have a guest with us so early. Today we have with us someone who has been a guiding light for almost a year for us and a constant support to all the new initiatives that we took. Dr. Geeta Bajaj. Dr. Geeta Bajaj is a passionate teacher and a researcher with 17 years of academic and 13 years of industrial experience. She is a professor of HR and communication at IMT Dubai. Earlier, she taught at MDI Gurgaon for 10 years, at IE School of Human Sciences and Technology Madrid, University of Maribor, Slovenia, and IIM Kolkata. Most importantly, Dr. Bajaj is a passionate case teacher and a case writer who learned the case teaching at Harvard Business School and believes in heavy discussion and engagement in the classroom. It'll be interesting to hear her views on virtual classes and online learning. Welcome to the podcast, ma'am. I'm really happy to have you with us today and discuss with you on the topic MBA in virtual classrooms. So, to start off, ma'am, what do you think are the most important challenges when transitioning to a virtual mode of education?
Well, it depends whether we are talking about the first year or the second year of the MBA. I think that the challenges for the first year are more than that for the second year. The second year students have had a taste of what an MBA class is like. They know their class fellows, the teachers, the academic rules, the need and balance of academic and non-academic, etc. So I think that way the second years are far better placed than the first year. First years have to be more proactive in learning about their new institute. Because you see, each student comes with a unique experience of his or her undergrad college and has also heard some sporadic stories of what an MBA class is like. But the truth is that each college is same in some ways, but distinct in far more ways. So they have to be more alert, more proactive, and more patient. The faster they make sense of the new world, the better equipped they will be for making most of their MBA experience. Um, I think as far as the second year students are concerned, the in-class challenge, in my view, should not be so much. But yes, understanding and estimating the industry trends to stay motivated as you look for jobs, to connect your classroom learning to practice, those are bigger challenges. So, be it in the class or outside the class, on campus or as part of the company, everywhere, the game of interaction has changed. And the good part is that it is evolving. And so, therefore, it's okay to be learning along with everyone. That's really fun. So, I think it's nice that you are getting this experience while everybody in the industry is also getting.
Next, ma'am, it would be great if you can shed some light on how a student can best confront the limitations of online classes.
So, as regards challenges or limitations, I think that the biggest challenge that I keep hearing about is that of bandwidth. Students don't have enough bandwidth and therefore they're not able to get the experience of learning as they should. In fact, the experience of learning is completely sabotaged if the bandwidth is not good. This, I think, should be avoided by all means. So, every student, irrespective of whoever that is, the first thing you need to invest on is to make sure you have a very good bandwidth at home, right? Think you're saving your money on hostel food, hostel living, partying, and all of that. So, all of that money, what are you going to do? Put it in this. This is the lifeline, and not spending on it is being penny wise, pound foolish, I think. It's like a mechanic without the tools. It's like a student without a book. It's like a pilot without a plane. How do you fly, right? So I think it's absolutely must for every student to ensure that they have a good connection. Let me share with you We have friend students who come to IMT on exchange, and recently I was conducting one of the classes, and these students, they had gone back to France, and one of them was attending my class, and he shared with me that he's not staying with his parents. He's rented an apartment and he's living somewhere else. Why? Because in the house where he has his home, the place where he has his home, they don't have a good bandwidth, right? He's not able to get a good connection. Therefore, he's living in an apartment so that he has a great connection and he can have good classroom experience and connecting and studying and everything. Now, I know that's not possible for everyone to do, and I'm not advising everyone to do that. But what I'm saying is that we must understand what is the importance of bandwidth in this current scenario. I think the second biggest challenge that the students have is of maintaining interest. So, the first way to deal with this is to find out why is it that you are not able to maintain interest. You see, when online classes happen, students are not able to focus because it's very easy for them to put themselves on mute, switch off the video, then listen. And then as you listen, it's possible for you to get distracted. You just go get a cup of coffee in between, suddenly you'll get lost, you'll open another tab. So it's very easy to be defocused or to get distracted or not to be able to maintain interest. So I think to address that, the most important thing is that the students must go back. If they really want to stay interested, they need to go back and see how are they attending the classes. Are they viewing the lectures or are they attending classes? You have to understand the difference. If you're listening to a lecture lying in your bed, if you're still in your night suit, you're likely to doze off. So if you're having people around you or too many tabs working at the same time, you will miss out on the finer points. I think it's important for students to understand the importance of a classroom environment. And right now, it's important that they create it for themselves, which means they should take a bath, freshen up, get dressed in smart informals, have a comfortable table and chair, have a good headphone, keep a notebook handy, keep your desk clean, like create a nice working space, have a plant around you, liven up the place a little bit with some sports equipment, like you can have a carom in your room, etc. So have a nice place around you which you would love to work. Make it a working place for yourself, right? Recall when you were preparing for your entrance exams, would you not study at home on your own? So have a space at home which you can enjoy, right? Where you also study, play, and have a good time, right? So I think that's the second important thing, I think, maintaining interest. And for that, you have to have that proactivity of creating the space and keeping yourself active and engaged. Now, that's the third other challenge. How do you, in the classes, interact and ensure understanding? I think in classes, one of the big challenge is that the teacher that the teachers a lot of time get into teaching and they just don't know what's happening on the other end because the video is off and the mic is muted. So how would a teacher know whether the other side the student has understood or not? You see, in a normal class, it's very much possible for a teacher to look at the face of the students and know they've got it, let me move on to the next point. They haven't got it, let me elaborate a little bit. But that's not possible in online classes. So I think that it's very important for students to take ownership and participate. How? I think one of the easy things to do is to freely participate in the public chat. The teacher can read and answer there itself or even later. It is possible to download the chat. So you see, a lot of students who were not able to ask questions in the class because they would not like to take the time of everybody have now, if they key down their questions in the public chat, the teacher or the CR can download the entire chat and the teacher can respond to the questions. The teacher can even record all the answers and just email to you. or the teacher can respond to them in the next class. It's possible. So today it's possible for you to give all your questions to your teachers right there in the class, and for the teachers to respond, right? So that's, I think, as far as the classes are concerned, it's important. Teachers can also use many tools. For example, there are breakout rooms which can be used for in-group discussions. I've used them in my classes and students love it, right? I've used them for my negotiation classes. I put them into smaller rooms and they sit in those rooms and negotiate. It's a great experience to do that. Now, also, for interaction outside of the class, I think the first years would have to put in a lot of effort to make friends. They'll have to take leadership in the virtual space to make friends. They'll have to help each other, learn that it's by helping each other that they will make friends. They should organize some online events and parties to chill. That's how they'll make friends, right? So I think first years, more proactive to do that. Second years, you already have your groups, so I see no reason why you should not be continuing to engage. I'm sure you are continuing to engage. The whole question is, what are you engaging for? That, if you can keep more meaningful and healthy, I think that would be very nice. Not just for watching Netflix parties, but I think for other engagement and interaction also.
Ma'am, we see around us a lot many students who are very much worried about the current situations, especially passing out in 2020 and in 2021. And this online system of education has actually put them in a spot of bother. Ma'am, it would be great if you can enlighten our listeners with some of the positives that you see to the online classes.
Yeah, so there is a plus side to the online classes. There's no distraction, I think. When you're in the class, sometimes there are lots of distractions. So here's a clean space for you. You can simultaneously read up if you don't find some meaning of something or something a little more detailed. That's possible. You can request your teacher to do the recordings and give you a recording of the sessions, and it's possible today to do that. Those who are unable to participate in class otherwise because they are hesitant can now write in the public chat and participate. Teachers can download the public chat, and that is evidence for class participation marks. I think that was never possible. File sharing is easily possible today. If I were to put up something on a which is a little more detailed and I want to explain on the projector, when I put it on the screen, it's difficult for students to make up. But now it's right there on your screen, so therefore it's possible for you to read up. Yes, I think the challenge is that, how do you make notes? So maybe you need to make notes on a notepad or something else that you keep, or a bigger screen, and divide the screen. That is a challenge, but otherwise I think there are positives also of the online class. Many positives.
Those were some very interesting points, ma'am. My last question for you today is, what are your suggestions to students on increasing their efficiency and effectiveness of online learning? How can they make the best out of this situation, and how they should see the situation in a positive frame of mind?
Okay, so what I shared with you earlier was more tactical, right? Like, what is your space like, and how are you managing yourself, etc. But I think two things which are most important for any student to make their online learning experience more effective. One, I think the students must engage in their subject heavily. So now that you have so much time, you can read, you can watch, you can write, right? Um, you have more time to read because you're saving so much of your time. For me, for example, I used to drive half an hour to college and back, so that 1 hour clean is available to me for reading now, which I didn't have earlier, right? Watching, right? There's so much on the internet available today. You can watch such awesome stuff there, and then basis whatever you're learning, you can start to write. I think the easiest place to write is a discussion board. I haven't seen students been using discussion boards very extensively up until now, but I think on your Canvas or your team or any other Microsoft Teams, or any other learning management system that you have, there are discussion boards that can be used, and I think students should use those discussion boards to engage each other on the subjects that interest them. Um, a tad bit more difficult than that is writing a blog. If you're good at that and you can do that, then you can attempt to write on the LinkedIn. I think that's very nice. The next step would be the formal channels like the news channels or the newspapers, etc. And those of you who are really serious and interested can engage with your faculty members to write in scholarly journals, a research paper or something. So all of that is possible, I think. So I think one important thing for students to get most effectiveness out of their online learning experience is that they should be engaging heavily with their subject. And the second is that they should create online extracurricular events and activities for themselves. For that, they have to be more innovative. I think, in my view, and from all that I have experienced over the years, students who are active do everything. They study hard, they score well, they take leadership in some events, they support their friends in the other events, they pay heed to simple advice and don't scoff and shun it off as small things. They enjoy every bit of their time, and when they study hard. When they party hard. So I think that was true then, and that remains true now. Only thing is now you would have to proactively do. You wouldn't see people around doing that, and so you also do. No, now you would have to do that proactively, and that's important.
Listening to you today, ma'am, you have actually put me in a frame of mind where I feel that online classes are much better than the offline system of education. I'm pretty sure that our audience would also feel this conversation as interesting as I did. Before we sign off, ma'am, do you have any closing notes for our audience who are prospective future leaders?
Okay, so on a final note, I think the one biggest difference in the online and offline mode is that the online mode requires the students to take higher responsibility of learning. It always was, but now it is even more of their responsibility. It is extremely difficult for faculty members to anticipate who's understanding and who's not, to anticipate the challenges of the students. So it is important for students to stay in communication. I think if they do that, there is a lot that's available for them to do and to learn in different ways. Like, the regular rote ways everybody knows, but this is new. They are going to be the only batch in the world which started their career in the pandemic. I'm sure later they're going to tell stories to everybody about how they managed this and how they were the first batch to be starting an offline full-time program in an online mode and how they made best out of it. So I think I wish all of these students the very best. I compliment the Embark team for their efforts and wish them all the best. I think by doing this activity that this Embark team is doing right now, they are actually showcasing to the students that what all the students can do to, they can collaborate and bring to life any of their ideas. So I think that's really awesome. I wish the Embark team loads of success. So Embark team and all these students who are listening to the podcast, stay well, stay safe, and enjoy every moment of what life is throwing at you. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.
This topic was really a need of the hour, and it is for us to understand that we have to accept this situation and make the best out of it. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Geeta ma'am on behalf of Embark and all our listeners for spending her time with us and sharing her valuable insights on this topic. It's been a pleasure talking to you, ma'am. That'll be all from us today. I hope you all like this episode and find it useful. Do share your feedbacks and comments so we can make the next episodes even more better. Thank you all. Stay positive, stay healthy. This is Jishnu Krishna signing off.